Yo, what up? This is the Odd Pod, which is me and Chris today. He's
Uh,
just struggling to open a Go-Gurt.
Numero ocho, Skywalker OG Part 2. Uh, plus a little pink cookies. And Romo came in here like pretty excited to talk some shit he just learned that kind of coincide with some current events that are going on in our world right now.
Yes, it was actually, I was supposed to talk about this on the last episode, but, I didn't really watch the lecture, so I didn't really know anything. So, might as well wait until this episode. If y'all listened to episode 6, which one was that one? Was that Pink Cookies number 2? I think? That we did last time?
Yeah. Oh, the one where it was just us two? Yeah. Pink cookies number 2.
If you watch that episode, I went into a tangent about the Civil War and have a different ideology on this thing. So, with it, there was a lecture on the Great Courses Plus, and it was named "Going to the Devil: The Impeachment of 1868." And what this basically means is that there was an impeachment trial in the year of 1868, about 3.5 years after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. There were 4 distinct men that were at his deathbed when the assassination had occurred, or when he was dying on his deathbed. There was Charles Sumner. He was a senator at this time. The Secretary of War, Edwin Stanton. Vice President Andrew Johnson. And it was Congressman Thaddeus Stevens of Pennsylvania. With these 4 men would shape what America would be the next 3 years post-Civil War. To give you a little backstory of who Johnson is, I'll read you a quote that he had. Or I'll read you a quote that Sumner had of the relationship really between the 3 men and Andrew Johnson. When the 3 men I'm talking about is Stanton, Stevens, and
they were at the bedside of somebody
Sumner.
who was almost assassinated. Or
No, they were at the bedside of Abraham Lincoln when he was dying.
Okay.
Now, Sumner says this, and it should sum up really how people felt towards Andrew Johnson. And that was, the wife of Lincoln was offended by the vice president at the deathbed of Lincoln. Basically, she did not like the fact that Andrew Johnson was there in the deathbed, in the death chambers, really in the time when Lincoln was dying.
But he was the vice president? Vice president?
Assigned by Lincoln.
Right.
Yes. So that shows you an indication of how they really felt about this man. And I'm gonna tell you about this man. Andrew Johnson was a poor man. He grew up almost the same way as Abraham Lincoln, only there was a distinct difference. Abraham Lincoln kind of grew up and became more of an acceptance of everything. As he grew up being poor, he kind of didn't have a hatred towards a lot of things. Now, as far as Andrew Johnson, is a whole different way. And I'll tell you, he once said, "If being poor was a crime, I should have to plead guilty. That I was a great criminal, that I had been born a criminal, and that I had lived a criminal a large portion of my life." Basically, he showed no resentment being poor.
Right.
But that shows you how he felt about people who look down at the impoverished and the poor of the people. He relied really entirely on himself to really survive out here. He didn't really have any family, anybody that would help him. He would actually help his mother and his father build their own industry, build their own industries in Tennessee. That's where they kind of moved to. They moved from the lands of Virginia over the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee to Greensville, Tennessee. And that's where he kind of became a mayor, senator, and, whatnot.
Is that where he got money? Or he was
that's where he established he didn't get money until probably around where he started becoming a mayor and a senator, really started getting into his political life. He never attended school. That was the one.
A lot of the billionaires and like the richest people don't finish school.
This guy never attended it. He was so poor that his family he couldn't attend it. He actually had to help his family with their business. And the first possession he ever got in his life was the book called The American Speaker. And from that book that he received from a customer to his parents' business, he developed the persuasive speech in which he still inhibited throughout his lifetime. So basically, because of that book, gave him the way to talk and the way to speak to people. Basically, gave him the keys to being a political leader.
It was called American Speaker.
It was called The American Speaker. I didn't get the author. Now, people would think, well, if he grew up poor and in the South, he must have been a very racist. Well, he was, but he was not pro-white. He had a great disdain for the white plantation aristocracy, but he also had a competing hatred for the black labor, which, in his own standpoint, is kind of understandable. Not understandable as in it was okay, no. But to understand why he thought that way was because he was poor. He was already competing with these white folk that
he felt like they were taking his job.
Yeah, basically, like, it's almost like how today, how white people feel about.
There's like waves of that throughout American history.
Yeah,
it happens more often than you think.
But it's distinctly happening, now, where people are saying that a lot of them are taking their jobs today.
Yeah, they did that with the Mexicans. That's why they made marijuana illegal. That's why they called it marijuana, to make it sound Mexican. Because people who were like come over and do work, they would smoke after work.
The crazy thing is, when he got married to a 16-year-old widow named Liza.
Dang, she was 16
years old.
What happened to her husband?
She was like 18. I think he was like 18, 19 though. He wasn't like an old fuck that married her. He was
18 or 19?
He was around the ages maybe about 18 to 24 years old.
Well, the rules of society were different for long periods of time than they are today.
Yeah. But he was married by the first cousin of Abraham Lincoln. So the first cousin of Abraham Lincoln basically was the pastor that married them both.
Yeah.
But even with that, there was always disagreement between Lincoln and Andrew Johnson over really what they try to make it is into a slavery type of thing. I think it was more of having control of the new territories that they won in the Mexican-American War.
So right now we're talking about the Civil War?
No, we're talking about the Mexican-American War in the 1840s. This is when both of them started their political careers, becoming senators, becoming mayors and whatnot. I mean, he was actually an advisor for Lincoln at this time. But they disagreed on a lot of shit. They disagreed on, like I just said, the territory dispute of slavery being, should they be free states? Should they be slave states? And from what I got from most of it was that I don't think Andrew Johnson opposed it necessarily. I think he would rather allow them to decide it for themselves, as far as Lincoln wanted to decide it for him already. That was the kind of key difference I got with it. And it was one thing that, the fun key fact with Andrew Johnson and Andrew Jackson is that they both actually kind of shared the same ideology towards governing the people. He said they both shared the same ideology as for individual freedoms for the people and for limited federal government. He said, and I quote for Andrew Johnson, "Power is always stealing from the many to give to the few." That was one of his quotes.
Andrew Jackson?
Andrew Johnson.
Oh, Johnson.
The following election, in which he was actually elected mayor in one of his towns in Greensville, he was voted out the next following election. So after he said that, he was voted out the following year later.
Wonder why. Kind of obvious why, right? For most of us.
With him having this stigma that somebody was out to get him and that the government really wasn't these aristocracy or these higher ups, let's put it in a way. I'm trying to use big words, but it's not really working. These higher ups.
Sometimes we just got to talk in layman because that's who our audience is, and that's what we are. Shit, fuck.
The higher ups didn't really like Andrew Jackson and Andrew Johnson. And with that came with paranoia with Andrew Johnson. He was very paranoid when with having this idea that he was being watched, that he just got voted out of his fucking office.
This is before CIA shit, right?
Yeah, this is way before that. So he had a hard time finding allies because of his own paranoia, even with people who shared his same ideology of more freedom for the people and limited government, because he didn't trust a lot of people. So it played in his own hands. But in the
Mm.
1850s, the Democrats, who were the pro-slave, more southern, people, owned most of the government at this time. In 1853, the legislation were able to get him out of his mayor's seat. So, guess what Johnson went and did? He ran for governor of the state, and he won.
Mm.
So they tried to kick him out of his mayor's seat, and he's like, "Well, you kicking me out? All right, well, I'm gonna go run for governor," and he won. In 1853, he became the governor of Tennessee. There was a debate in Murfreesboro, and he was told before this debate that he would not leave alive.
Damn.
Now-
Who told him that? Do you know?
Nobody knows. There was just somebody in his advisory told his advisory group. His advisor came and told him. Now, this is what he said, and I quote. And when I say this, it should really define this man as, I wouldn't say hard-headedness or anything, but
Stubbornness?
I wouldn't say stubbornness. I think more ballsy.
Mm.
But I'll read the quote, and I'll let the people decide. He said, and I quote, "In response, Johnson laid his pistol in front of him, and he said, 'I have been informed on the business to be.'" Hold on. That's what it is. "I have been informed on the business to be transacted on the present occasion in the assassination of the individual who now has the honor of addressing you. Therefore, if any man has come here tonight for the purpose indicated, I do not say, let him speak. I say, let him shoot." He then grabbed his pistol, waited 30 seconds, and then said, "I must have been misinformed," and continued with his speech. With that being said, this shows you that, if you're going to try to assassinate him, he's not, afraid to defend himself or to challenge you to a duel or call you out on your bullshit too. Because that's basically what he just did. He called them out on their assassination attempt. He called them out, said, "Yeah, go ahead and try to shoot me." And nobody wanted to do anything. So that's why he called them on their bluff. Like, "You're not going to fucking do it."
Or now that he put it on blast, now they can't because then they'll be exposed. Maybe if he wouldn't have said nothing, they still would have been able to do it.
Now, the thing with him, it's crazy because he didn't support southern plantations like that, nor did he support the black labor. But what he did support was repairing the Union from the inside and not the out. Meaning he didn't want to have this war. He didn't want to have other people coming in and trying to fix it. No, he felt as though the Union should have been fixed within ourselves with the governors that were there, and we should have resolved this all out. Do I believe that he was a racist? Well, I'll let this quote say this. I'll let this quote kind of define it. He says, "Damn these Negroes! I am fighting the aristocracy. I am fighting the aristocrats." He said, and with that quote, it could mean, you could take it in many different ways. You could take it as he's just being racist. He could be. Or you can take it as, this is not what this is about. I'm fighting the fucking hand. I'm fighting those people. I don't care about this. This should be common sense. Maybe he was trying to say they're being free and they just changed the history to make it seem something different.
Very possible.
When I get to the end of this story, it'll all make sense. But that's what he was basically saying. He's fighting the big hand.
Hmm.
Let's see. The radical Republicans at this time wanted to emancipate the slaves and have equal treatment of the slaves.
Did you get to 1898 when the Republicans and the Democrats switched?
They didn't switch. That was in 1898. No,
Yeah.
that was something different. This is an impeachment trial, which is almost has the same implications of today.
They're trying to impeach Johnson?
Yeah.
Andrew Johnson.
with him saying all this, with the different ideologies in which the radical Republicans at this time had in the views of the government, one of the secretaries, or one of these senators named Wade, decided to suggest the idea and incline that Johnson should be impeached. And this is what everybody started kind of going towards, that idea that he should be impeached. He has already been sworn in, as
why
president.
do they want him impeached? Just because he's anti-establishment?
That's for a lot of people to decide. I mean, they make it seem like he was against the idea of freeing the slaves and freeing, taking away the idea of Reconstruction for the South, which he kind of was for. This is where Stevens does come into the picture. He's implementing, he believed in a biracial society. He devoted his life to the underdog. This is Theodorus Stevens. We're not talking about Andrew Johnson anymore. This is basically.
But this is another guy that was at the bedside of.
This is the other guy that was at the bedside, and you would have to look at Andrew Johnson as this is his antagonist. This is basically his enemy. These two are enemies amongst each other, basically rivals with each other. They had both almost the same ideologies, but they just had different views on how to retain it, in my opinion. Let's see. To give you a basic rundown of who Theodorus Stevens is, he believed in a biracial society. He had an actually biracial wife. He seeked justice from man to man. He seeked justice for everybody. He actually gave the last speech before the 13th Amendment was going to be ratified. He was the last one to give it, and he also led to the idea of the 14th Amendment, which gave voting rights and giving rights to a lot of the black population. He enforced the Reconstruction, and he also warned Lincoln about Johnson. He actually gave a warning that I don't think you should trust this guy. He said, and I quote, "Mr. President, Johnson is a ranked demagogue, and I suspect that at heart a damned scoundrel."
Scoundrel.
Now, to give you some of what these two men had in common, this is just a fun fact about Andrew Johnson. When he got sworn in for VP, and when Stevens gave this warning to Abraham Lincoln about Johnson, Abraham Lincoln disregarded it. He was like, "No, we need him so that way we can unify the South and we can just get this Reconstruction going, and then he can get reelected." So that's what happened. So he got reelected, and that's who he made vice president.
Right.
Well, on the night of him being reelected, this man was shit-faced drunk. He was drunk as shit on his inauguration night. Talk about Johnson.
Because of nerves?
No, because he was a fucking raging alcoholic.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a raging alcoholic at this time. And at this inauguration, Frederick Douglass was there too. And Frederick Douglass actually made eye contact with this man, and it seemed like Andrew Johnson didn't want to have any. He made eye contact with him, but he kind of gave him a weird eye contact from what Frederick Douglass said.
He was wasted.
Basically, he denounced Andrew Johnson, claiming that he is no friend to our race. They said after his fiery, drunken speech that he gave in front of Congress after his inauguration, I will not repeat anything that he has said because it's just fucking hilarious and he's just drunk out of his mind. Those three men that were after him asked him to resign. He did not resign.
You remember any crazy quotes from the speech?
No, I don't even want to repeat him.
Really?
He's just really a drunken rant. But this is why you should go get the Great Courses Plus and go check it out yourself.
For sure. First
month is always free with the Great Courses Plus. So you can always try it out, go check it out, and watch this. It's pretty funny. Some of these facts about Andrew Johnson is pretty funny. And all these guys is actually, pretty weird, but really interesting to learn about.
They don't really talk about him in history class too much.
But after the death of Lincoln, some Republicans welcomed Johnson's ascent. you know, up the chain of command. You know, after he, took the presidency. Senator Chandler, I can't say his first name for shit.
Chandler Bing
No,
from Friends.
La Cheria Chandler, I think is what his name is. Providence has kept Lincoln in office so long as he was useful, and then put a better man in his place. We'll go back to that in a minute. But yeah, with that being said, with one of the senators, it basically kind of shows you, well, what the fuck was going on. Like, that to me, hearing that is like, that sounds like it was a conspiracy going on here. What the fuck? You know? But here's the thing with Johnson. Johnson was okay letting the same leaders back into the Union. He thought that the states had sovereign rights and the federal government just had no business worrying about it. Now, when I say that, left a little gap. At this time, Andrew Johnson was doing a lot of things that these radical Republicans didn't like, which was he was allowing a lot of the Republican leaders, or not Republican leaders, Southern leaders, to kind of come back and let them kind of figure their own stuff out. Basically, giving a pardon, giving them a pass on what was coming. And that's basically what he did. He did his own definition of presidential reconstruction, which within this time, he gave 14,000 pardons to 14,000 pardons to anybody who served in the Confederate Army of America, and basically said, you're welcome back into the Union with open arms. He had no restrictions on them. He said the federal government should not interfere with this. They're welcome back into this nation, and that's how it should be. Mm. You shouldn't put heavy sanctions on them and this and that. And we're doing this. Yeah, it was in May 29th, 1865 that Johnson issued a proclamation pardoning all the rebels in exchange for loyalty oaths. So they all had to retake a loyalty oath to the Union now.
Now, I got a question. Is this true that, well, like I know Latinos that fought in the Civil War, they fought on both sides. But were there black people on both sides? Mm-hmm. There were. Huh?
Yeah, there was, in fact, a regiment of black soldiers. Now, in one book that I read that talks about defending the Confederate statues, this is completely separate to what we're talking about. A lot of, from what this guy says, a lot of soldiers at that time in the Southern armies actually had their own regiments, where they were actually led by their own people, and they would go out and fight, which is weird. That was the one question mark that I had with it. But apparently it's true that both sides have their own black regiments, but some had more freedom than others, which the Southern side seems like they gave their black soldiers more, I guess, permission to do whatever they want.
Really?
Yeah. It's actually pretty twisted. Mm. And what backs that idea was there was a battle that happened. I wish I could remember the name to it. I have it written down somewhere.
And then the British, they kind of got involved, right? Like they wanted America to go into a civil war.
In a way, yeah, because they probably wanted to come back and invade and take whatever was left over. But
or just get like a good ass trade deal.
Well, I think there was one thing that kept the British away, and that was what we were considered, what the Americans actually made, the Union really made during this war, was the ironclad. And the ironclad was a metal-plated boat that can go straight up to your boat. You could shoot whatever cannonballs you wanted it. It would just ping off the side of those damn boats. Mm. They would raise those fucking cannons, fire on your shit, and it would sink every ship.
That's the Americans had that?
The Americans had an ironclad.
So that's whenever our Navy finally...
We're starting to develop good... Yeah, we're starting
Britain.
To... Well, Britain didn't want to come down here and fuck with it. It's not a ship you really want to send your wooden ships against, which a lot of them were made of wooden ships. Now, the ironclad wasn't meant to go out on deep expeditions. It was just meant to go, here.
Oh, okay.
So that was really for more of home protection, is what I see.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah. Both sides had black soldiers on either side.
Mm-hmm. And Latinos.
But Sumner and Stevens, after giving all these pardons that Johnson had just given, felt that he had too much power. And this is one of the quotes from Sumner. Government must stand on the consent of the governed. This is what he said. Stevens viewed the South as a conquered people and wanted to sell 395 million acres of land in the South to pay for the reparation war debt that they had to pay. Johnson stopped all that. And the only thing he wanted to do was maintain everything in the South. He wanted to just be like, no, we shouldn't put heavy sanctions on our own people. We should more or less let them rebuild.
Yeah.
But with that, what happened was the black codes emerged with this protection. And now this is where I don't know if I believe this or not, but it says that a German reporter gave the report to Johnson of how the Reconstruction was going, and well, of course, the black codes were going on. There was horrendous atrocities that were happening at this time, from what he's writing. And I mean, it's very gruesome to really the stories that they told on this thing. It's pretty sad. But he
during the black codes and all that.
Now, this is where I would say, did this reporter really give Johnson this report? I don't know. But what I do believe that Johnson did believe in was freedom of the people, freedom of more individual liberties, along with the black individual as well. If he could be able to, and I would want to see, if he probably received their report, he probably would look at it and probably, try to fix what was going on, probably stop all these black coat things and start giving people individual freedom, because he did believe in self-government. He did believe that the people could govern themselves. That's why he gave the states the rights to do what they want. But at the same time, we're killing your own fucking people.
Right.
And I think he did have that type of a heart. But
sound like a pretty interesting dude. Like they should have a movie about this guy.
Johnson did claim one thing though with the government. He did say that he claims that they incited this violence, which is kind of true because they were kind of putting.
Was that the North?
Yeah. It's kind of true because they were starting to put down a lot of sanctions on them. They kind of divided, instead of it being 10 reconstructed states, they put it as 8 or 5 military zones.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And basically made the southern states ratify the 13th, 14th Amendment, which is, I guess, okay, but at the same time, it's kind of forced them to do it, and it's kind of not okay. We should all just try to sit down and debate about it, and that's just kind of forcing the hand. That is what causes rebellion, destruction, and,
animosity.
Yeah, instead of it if their own leaders came to just an agreement. I wouldn't give a fuck if these leaders spent 4 months in that motherfucking House of Representatives. They won't go home until they all come to a goddamn agreement. That's just what I believe. You can't.
Should be.
It's with this debate, I believe that this should have been handled in the House, just like Andrew Johnson said, should have been handled within. Everybody should have sat down. If people start getting out of hand and started fighting, fuck it. Let it go. Let it go out of hand. Because I guarantee you, all of them will realize one thing. Why in the hell are we arguing about this? If our own ideology believes it in the South, which we only looked at them as 2/3 of a person, why the fuck would we spend so much time even just saying, fine, we'll give them whatever they want? Mm-hmm. Or just even attempt to argue it so much. I get it, it made a lot of money, but that was just only the elected few. But even these elected few, the higher ups, the elite of the plantation, of the southern plantations, I bet you if the poor Southerners started finding the realization of what the fuck was going on, they would turn on these people.
Yeah. That's so like today.
So in a way, what I'm trying to say is maybe it wasn't the Southern people who wanted slavery, and if they did, they had their own slaves, which even worked for them, and they worked with them on the field, which I'm talking about the poor Southerns. I think it was more of the rich aristocracy that Andrew Johnson was after that caused all this. Now, he probably put this protection but only for the people, not for these, elitists. He probably was trying to lay a trap for these people to come out so we can start eliminating all their heads. But that never happened. Because, they probably were playing a game too.
Yeah.
But with that, After he said those comments about uh, Congress and that he labeled both senators, all the senators that are after him, Sumner, Stevens, what was the first one I said, and Stanton. In 1866, the radical Republicans were able to win the House completely. So they won the House entirely. With that win, the impeachment won by a landslide. So he was impeached. Now it was going to go to trial.
Okay.
Now, this is where things start getting real shady, and this is where the conspiracies start coming in with my idea. Okay. Congress passed a law, and it was called the Office Act. And basically, what it was that it was an executive. It was really to keep checks and balances going with the United States president. It was that, and it says that the president did not have the power to fire his own cabinet members at will that Congress had already approved of. There's already a check and balance that Congress had to approve all of his cabinet members before he hired them. But they were trying to pass the act that the president could not fire them as he pleased.
Right.
Basically, it's kind of saying, well, you have the right to hire your own employee, but you don't have the right to fire them at your own will. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy, yeah. It's not really fair.
But they only passed this as a trap because they knew Johnson had been wanting Stanton, the Secretary of War, out of office. He's been wanting to fire him for a minute. In fact, Stanton locked himself into the Secretary of Defense office for months.
What?
Yeah, he locked himself in there because he knew if he left, Johnson was going to fire him. He actually sent somebody in to replace him. And he even told Stanton, I'm here as your replacement. And he's like, nah, you can leave. Basically what he told him.
Right.
Now, this act has already been proven by James Madison that it is unconstitutional that the president can hire and fire who he pleases. As long as Congress has approved him, he can hire and fire who he pleases. He does not need congressional approval to hire and fire who he wants.
Okay.
Now, the way you kind of got to look at it, it's kind of like Congress could keep, not approving who you want until they approve, basically saying, well, I approve of this guy. Well, no. The president can say, no, I don't want this guy, and I don't like this guy.
Right.
And there has to be an approval of it. Now, if Congress can sit there and say, well, no, you can't fire him. Well, I don't like him. He seems more on your side than on mine, so why should I have him as my cabinet member?
Right.
No, you can't do that. He has to stay there now. It kind of takes away the power for the president to kind of choose the people he wants around him. It kind of seems like you have to have the House giving people who they choose, and they are the only ones that can approve the firing of them. It's kind of having a mole inside of the presidency. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you don't have the right people, and the bad thing is if you don't have the right people in that House that are very snakes in the grass and don't want good for the people, well, they got a mole inside the president who was trying to be for the people, kind of fucking everything up for him.
So it befits the president to have, like, whatever party he or she is, to have the House or the Senate be the same party. So they can pick the right people. Usually, hopefully. But sometimes they don't even agree with the president.
Well, it defeats the purpose of the checks and balances. It feels like it gives more power to the House than to the president.
Right.
It gets even more crazier. There was... Let me see, hold on. This is basically the summing up of what they had to fire Johnson. Or to impeach Johnson. Johnson wanted to fire the Secretary of War, but he didn't know if he could. Congress disregarded the president. The president disregarded Congress, and the Secretary of War was plotting a mutiny. Basically, it was almost like a coup d'etat against President Andrew Johnson.
What's a coup d'etat?
Basically, a mutiny.
Oh.
It's kind of what you see in France and England when the family lines are taking over one family and they're taking over the kingdomship of France. You know what I'm saying? they do a coup d'etat to take it all over.
What's a coup?
A group. There were 11 articles of impeachment. 8 were to fire the Secretary of War. 9 was the slander of Congress, and then the last 2 were just about Johnson and what he's done and what he didn't do and whatnot. The Tenure of Office Act was illegal, and it was proven in the trial in the Supreme Court. The crazy thing is, this trial took place on an election year of Andrew Johnson. So
that took away his money for his campaigning.
They were trying to. Now, in this committee on this board, Stevenson was a part of it, but he wasn't the lead of it. It was actually his name was Benjamin Butler. Oh, he led the Senate committee, and he was actually kind of not for him, but he was for the law. They asked Ulysses S. Grant, or really Andrew Johnson had asked Ulysses S. Grant during this whole trial process, whose side would he be on? What side would the army be on? On this whole process, would you be for the president or for the Congress? Ulysses S. Grant said back to him and responded, "I am here to abide by the law. The people will be for the law. Whichever the law states, that's what side he'll basically be on. Basically, he'll be on the side of the people, whatever they decide to choose."
Right. Which is the correct answer.
Mm-hmm.
You said this is Ulysses S. Grant?
Yep.
Yeah, he's cool. They portrayed him in Hell on Wheels.
There were 5 parts to this whole impeachment trial. This isn't the impeachment article. This is the impeachment trial. So this is different. The impeachment article was the reasonings for the impeachment. The trial is for, is he going to be convicted or is he going to be jailed? On one point, it was on the Reconstruction. Number 2 is Stan's appointment. Number 3 was Stan remained the Secretary of War. And number 4 was he wanted to test the law. And 5, there was no criminal violation. So basically, they try to try him on the fact that he broke the law of the Tenured Act, the Tenured Office Act, which was you can fire and hire who you please in the office without congressional approval. That was their defense on it. They're saying that Stanton was appointed, and therefore Congress had the right to vote him out. But he was still the Secretary of War, which means he was never fired during this whole time. And when they were trying this is all the lawyers of Andrew Johnson, by the way, that I'm speaking for. This is basically the case that they built for Johnson to defend him. When they asked him, well, why replace him in the first place, they tell them, well, he wanted to test and see if they would protect their own law to see how it really worked. And number 5 was, in his final defense and closing statement, Andrew Johnson never committed a crime at all. There was no crime ever committed since Stanton stayed Secretary of War the whole time. He was never officially replaced.
Okay.
So the trial went on, and then they came up with the verdict. What do you think the verdict was? Do they impeached his ass, or do you think they...
I think he got impeached.
He was acquitted.
Okay, nice. I was hoping that, but I wasn't.
Stevens said after the verdict was read, the country is going to the devil. And that was just basically, Theodore Stevens' sum up of what had all happened. Now, he won the trial. The election still went on as far as re-electing somebody else.
He didn't get
in
elected?
1868. No,
Really?
Ulysses S. Grant won by a landslide.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Reconstruction went on during the 1870s as it was supposed to go by. When Grant went into office, he wanted to revoke the Office Act, which was already proven that it was unconstitutional. And so, ultimately, to sum up this whole thing, was that it would seem to me it was like a fight for the people and for the government and how accepting the South was supposed to be. It seemed to me that Theodore Stevens and how these radicals wanted it was to condemn the South because he did view them as conquered people. He didn't view them as American citizens. He looked at them as like, no, we are your conquerors. This is our land now. We will do as we please with it, and which is not a good image you want to have for yourself.
Not on your own people. I mean, you know what I mean?
I know it was regardless, it was a long and fucked up war, and regardless of how anybody puts it and words it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how you word it or put it. It was just the way that I see Andrew Johnson. I think he viewed it as we should have fixed this from the get go in the beginning. Do I believe a lot of the racist things he said? He probably was a little racist, but I think he was just a poor man, a man who grew up poor, who was angry at the world because he grew up poor.
He was uneducated too,
and he was mad at the fact of rich folk. I think that's who he was really against. I think they added the stigma of he was racist
to kind of like wash down his
image of who he was,
his legendary status that he should have. That's pretty cool, man. None of this. You learn something every fucking day.
Now to correlate it to today, it's almost like the Trump trials now. I know a lot of people don't like him. I know a lot of people don't agree with him, but we're in an election year now. And they have been looking for shit on him since day one.
And they can't find shit, right?
No.
The Mueller shit didn't come up with nothing. Nothing came up with nothing.
Now they're saying that he cheated the trial, but it also turned out that Hillary cheated as well. And the way I look at this whole impeachment trial is like, look, he completed his 4 years. We're already fucking done. There ain't no point in trying to take this man out because, well, if we do, then we might be stuck with him for even longer.
That's still crazy to me that if he's impeached and then he goes to trial and then he could like it's just omitted his time and he can go for another 2 terms. That's kind of crazy.
I get that a lot of people don't like him, but the one thing that you also have to look at is that the unemployment rate stayed the same in his 4 years as far as what people try to claim.
It did, but I feel like minimum wage should have gone up.
It did.
Nah, it's been $7.25 forever, bro. Since
it actually changed.
What is it now?
It's actually, I think it got changed up to $15 an hour because the starting rate at UPS when I started was at
maybe at UPS.
I think
I'm
the
minimum wage, like if you go to McDonald's,
it might start you off at like $11.50 an hour.
I'm gonna look it up, bro. But
look it up.
The legal minimum wage.
I know they increased it because they had to do it everywhere in the United States.
Yeah, but I feel like that was years ago when I was like a teenager.
This is, I think, right as soon as Obama was leaving office. I think is when it started happening. No, it's actually recently with Trump's administration. I think is when it happened. No, look it up. No, I'm just rambling.
Nah, bro.
When did it happen?
It's $7.25, man.
It's crazy. Because a lot of jobs right now are starting off a lot higher.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good, but the legal, and you know what's fucked up? Servers, they don't even get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they live off their tips.
They got like half of minimum wage plus, and it's like what? And then a lot of people don't even tip, and it's like, damn, bro, society's kind of like.
But a lot of waiters and stuff like it that way too, because then it's like, nah, because if you pay us by hour, then they take our tips, and it's kind of like.
Well, the good ones, the ones who are successful. Not everybody's gonna be successful. Not every restaurant's a good restaurant to be a waiter.
I know most of the servers I know, man, they make bank. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. They know how to serve people. It's basically what they know the hustle.
You gotta have skills.
Yeah, I know one guy that worked with me at UPS. When he lost that job, he went and became a server at IHOP. Man, he said, bro, on a good week, I pulled 400-500 in 2 days.
Tips? Yeah, my pops is a bartender.
He said the holidays are the best. My bad, go ahead.
No, yeah, my dad's a bartender. And it's pretty dope. I don't think I could do it, but for the people who can, it's a lucrative business. And then
hey, you make a hustle out of it, bro. Especially if you know how
to talk and shit.
And know how to be on the hustle, bro. Like know that people be courteous, smile, be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I've
even if they're assholes, just be
I
alright, whatever.
Years in retail, and I was good at it. You know what I mean? But it wasn't fun.
I feel you. It's not for everybody.
So now that they're not for everybody forever, and now that when you work with kids, it's different. It's kind
Yeah.
of easier to give them more patience than with like grown crazy people.
I feel you.
With kids, it's like, and you don't really have to work with customers, so that's pretty cool. How much we have? 44. I got
Pretty
the
good.
fofo.
Nah, I was just checking the time.
What time is it? 4:51.
Ain't too late.
Nah, it's a good time. Good time.
But yeah, this election shows you a lot because it shows you that they were trying to look and even set traps for Andrew Johnson throughout this whole time, and they all failed, and he still got acquitted because he didn't commit a crime. So there's no reason to impeach him, even though he didn't win the election, which is good. Because I don't think Reconstruction would go on. I think the Crow laws probably would have went on even longer.
Mm.
You know, but either way, I still got more research to do in that time in America. I learned what was going on in Europe at this time.
What was that?
Oh man, a lot of shit was going on, bro. Yeah, Otto von Bismarck basically unifying Europe or unifying Germany at this time. They were just German states, but around
late 1800s,
like 1850s to 1870s when he was doing all this. It was Prussia and the German states.
What is Prussia?
Prussia is basically Germany.
Okay.
And it was land really close to Russia, but really it was kind of like Denmark, Netherlands, Poland, little lands like that. I wish I had a.
Is that like right next to Persia? Hey, I found my globe.
Oh, let me see it. I can show you real quick. I'll show you.
No dead air. So keep talking.
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy to see what in the 1850s to the 1870s what Otto von Bismarck was able to do in Europe. He was basically trying to unify Prussia and the German states by being a real ass leader. Now, the German states is the current state of Germany. Prussia was parts of Poland, modern-day Bavaria, Kaliningrad, Latvia, bordering basically Russia, and parts of the Ukraine as well, along with the Czech Republic and Slovenia, or Slovakia, parts of Hungary, but then you also had there. You also had the Netherlands and Belgium a part of it as well. Whatever was bordering France and Italy. Those were the states in which made up the German Empire, along with Prussia, which was made up again, Poland and Belarus and whatnot. What Otto von Bismarck was basically doing was unifying those nations and basically putting the Austro-Hungarian Empire in the Czech, Italy, France, Spain, and London all at once. Not by intimidation power, really. Well, I can't really say that, but not in a sense of using force, but showing him that don't fuck with the German nation and things will go okay. Basically, don't cause any ruckus. Don't try to fuck anything up. Just know we're here, and we aren't afraid of fighting.
Whoa, what did I miss, man?
You missed a lot. I know we were ranting on about Otto von Bismarck, and basically his blood and iron quotations is what he was.
Okay.
I mean, it was fucking dope listening to this 18th century lecture in Europe because it went to how Napoleon took over, basically was kicking everybody's ass in Europe. Then it went to to almost a time where they didn't have war for a little while. But they also had to go chase down Napoleon's cousins and whatnot and defeat his armies. But Otto von Bismarck was rising up in Germany as well as an officer. As Otto von Bismarck.
Otto von. Who's that? As a person?
Yes.
Okay.
He was the lead advisor to Frederick William III.
Frederick William III.
These two nations were about to unify. Otto von Bismarck basically controlled the German states, and Frederick William controlled Russia. They unified it to create the German Empire. Along this, they were aligning themselves with Russia to basically create what is considered the watchdog of Europe. They were going to be, when things were going bad, like say a dictator was starting to rise up in Europe, these were the people that were going to go and stop them. It was going to be the German Empire and the Russians.
when we're kind of like the watchdogs now.
I'm more like an attack dog. There's a difference between a watchdog and an attack dog, bro. See, we're gonna take your shit. Otto Bismarck didn't believe in taking your shit. He believed in building his own shit with his own people, with his own products, with his own industries, and kicking your ass with his shit. That's how he was. He didn't want to go take your shit. He didn't care about your shit. You can't even try to take my shit. Then I'm gonna come and fuck you up. Because the Hungarians wanted to test him and wanted to challenge him and basically say, well, why should we give these German states to you? Why should we give these up? And I'll tell you what,
the Hungarians are they're from Hungary, right? Hungarians, Hungary. They were hungry for power.
they're basically the Holy Roman Empire
Oh shit!
at this time.
Like what?
But Otto von Bismarck
was like leftover.
pretty. I mean, they something like that. The Hungarian Empire, basically, they became. But Otto von Bismarck knew one thing about every leader in all these nations. They're all a bunch of bitches.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that not loosely.
Is it because all these kings were like children of kings of
Pretty
kings
much.
of children, so they didn't have to like earn anything?
Otto von Bismarck, pretty much. Otto von Bismarck was a guy that grew up earning all this shit. He grew up as a pretty boy dumbass. Did some pretty boy shit and got into some little shenanigans and whatnot that got him in trouble. But it developed a fucking man that was, not lethal to the core, but if he knew that things needed to be done for his people, then he would go and do them. He didn't give no excuses. He didn't take no excuses. He wasn't a dictator, but he also believed in how to teach the people. He believed in controlling some of the people, but only controlling certain. When you receive the knowledge is what he was basically trying to do. It wasn't that he was not trying to give the people what they wanted. He was trying to teach the people how to act. In a way, I'm trying to say.
Trying to get what they needed.
In a way, I'm trying to say is that he believed in giving people rights, but he believed in giving them those rights at certain times. As far as
so he'd take away rights at certain times.
He wouldn't give the people certain rights.
Wait, who? We're talking about the leader of the Autumn.
The Germans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, they got such a crazy history, right?
They do. It's fucking intense history, and it's a weird history to read into, because it's different than what the mainstream media tries to put out there. They were very Christian or Catholic to the core. They do believe in letting people believe in whatever you want.
That's how a lot of Muslims were
Right.
in the early centuries when they took over Christian countries. They let people worship whatever they wanted. They just had to pay tribute, but they let you worship whatever you wanted. Like usually when the Christians took over, they didn't let you worship whatever you wanted to worship.
Yeah, these people just let you. I mean, from what I can see, is like they taught you how to be free, which is it's a weird thing to say. It's like, wait a minute, you're telling me that I'm letting my own government teach me how to be free? That's fucking stupid. No, when you have the right people that had the right ideology for your people, because Otto von Bismarck knew in order for me to get the best out of my nation, I had to teach them how to be free. He was never willing to just restrict people of knowledge. He would allow you to get this knowledge so you could develop it for the nation.
But most leaders restrict knowledge.
Yeah.
Hitler burned libraries. Didn't who else burned libraries? Wasn't it Alexander or somebody?
Alexander the Great never burned any libraries.
There's somebody like in his time. Though.
Somebody did. It wasn't him. It was the barbarians. And Genghis Khan and
that's kind of like something. Yeah.
Like the Mongols. They burned a lot of shit.
And that I think they did burn a lot of like ancient Chinese like shit that could be so detrimental to it. But it's part of human history.
Yeah. The reason is behind that shit too. It's crazy because me and Vino finished the Asiatic Steps course on these people, and it was it got intense. That shit was crazy.
Really?
Oh yeah, learning about these people is
like bloodlust and.
You wouldn't think. I mean, it's almost like you get an understanding of these people. You understand why they did the things that they did. Like some of the atrocities they did. These fucking they were wrong, they were bad. They were bad, but there's reasoning behind it. Like, it wasn't that Genghis Khan just went in and just killed everybody. No, he gave you a choice. pay my tribute, and I'll leave.
Nah. He's like, all right.
Basically, with some of these, no, it wasn't even that. He would even give you a warning beforehand.
You like a second warning?
Nah, some of these he was sending an envoy,
Oh, okay.
and the envoy. This is why they say don't kill my envoys, and that's what some of these kings did.
Okay. What is that? Don't kill the messenger?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
One of these leaders, this is what he did. He cut the head off of him, stuck him on a pike, and stuck it on outside of his castle, and basically gave Genghis Khan his answer. So he sacked the city and killed everybody, and then made the king watch, and killed his, and then chopped his head off, put it on a pike.
Savage.
Motherfucker was a savage, bro.
He gave him a chance.
But he gave him a warning, and the message you send is what you receive. So it basically, in my opinion, man, you caused it for your own goddamn self, dog. I was like, that's your fault.
And then he knew. I'm sure he knew what he was capable of. Like that king knew what Khan was capable of.
I would hope.
Cause he cause I'm sure he was notorious in the region.
Yeah, he was
taking over these taking over and shit. So it's like there's like a few great like leaders in history, at least that we know of. There's probably some lost to time and lost to, but it's like Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, Napoleon.
I can name you 3 generals that I believe were like, you can't ever top. Ever. It's Otto von Bismarck, Alexander the Great, and Tutankhamun Khan, which was Genghis Khan.
Okay.
I think is what his name was. Reno would probably be here correcting my ass either way. But those 3 leaders knew how to get the best out of their people, the best out of their men. And then later on, I guess another episode or so, we'll tell you about Otto von Bismarck. I need Vino here to help me with the facts. Because that man was, to me, misunderstood. And he was for his people. And the wars that he went on was the Franco-Prussian War and the Dutch-Rus War. And he basically, in those wars, proved his point. Don't fuck with Germany. Don't fuck with Russia. Don't fuck with Russia either. They'll fuck you up too. But that's a story for another day, though. My opinion.
I feel you. That's wild.
But yeah. Is there anything you want to talk about in this episode? Anything you want to?
I didn't think of anything really.
What do you think of the impeachment thing? You think it resembles more of what today is? How today's trial's going on?
I'm so ignorant to a lot of this shit. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of this shit, like, I'm just gonna be real with you, man. A lot of this shit I don't even know. So you're teaching me a lot of shit, so that's really cool. I mean, how do you think, what do you think's gonna happen? You think Trump's gonna get reelected?
I don't know. I would hope not.
Who do you think is gonna be the Democratic candidate?
I hope it's that Hawaiian lady. Oh man, I wish
Kamala Harris?
Yeah, no, not Kamala Harris. Fuck no.
She's already out.
Yeah, she showed her hand.
You don't think? I think I was listening to this one dude that was saying Sanders is too much of a soft ass motherfucker. Like if he was harder, he'd be better.
Nah, look up right now. Look up the Hawaiian senator. She's a senator.
You know AOC? I have a crush on her. What you know AOC like that? Yeah.
I know what you're talking. I like what she's doing right now. I didn't like her at first, but she's starting to earn my trust.
You said Hawaiian senator?
Yeah. Senator for Hawaii.
Hawaii. That's awesome. Maisie Kirono?
Let me see. I need to see about the face.
I don't think that's her. There's an Asian dude that Dave Chappelle.
No, it's Tulsa Gabbard.
Dave Chappelle endorsed an Asian dude. I forgot his name.
It's her. This one right here.
And why do you?
Because I see how she handles herself. Because they were trying to throw shade at her in that first Democratic debate.
Uh-huh.
And she knew how to answer back to men. And knew how to shut them the fuck up like that.
Yeah.
The first guy, the one, that light-skinned black dude that was on the Democratic, I can't remember his fucking name.
So many of them. So many people on the Democratic.
Well, one guy was basically trying to put her down or whatever, and she had a fiery response back to it. I wish I could remember what she said, but, I heard it. I know the gist of what she was trying to do. She basically held her own in front of, a man that was trying to put her down. And then some of the responses she had against Iran, the attack on Iran and stuff, she called out Trump for it. She didn't care. And I agreed with everything she was saying. She wasn't just bashing him; she was bashing the decision. She was like, "You did this without congressional approval. That shows you he's willing to do shit without our approval. No, that's not okay."
Right.
But when they asked her, it's like, "Well, what do you think of the war?" "We're fucking in it now. Well, shit, there ain't nothing we can do about it now. Might as well just go head forth in it. But we need somebody in office that understands what it means to go to war. And she is actually former military. So she understands what it means to be."
For a long time, a lot of armies and a lot of countries would only follow somebody who was a warrior, a soldier. I mean, it's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? Sometimes it might fuck up because they might have PTSD. But before, it's always good because before you just set somebody off, you know the risk.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not ever against voting for a woman. Because I know a lot of people look at me and be, "Oh, you're going to vote for..." I know a lot of ignorant ass dudes would look at that like, really? Like, yeah.
There's even women. I know women who say that woman shouldn't be president because the Bible says that like women shouldn't like be lead shit or something like that.
Like that.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, the fuck. Well, that isn't. There's Native American tribes where women ran it. There's Japanese empresses. There's
many times in history that women have proven they're either the cause of war or they lead the war.
Or they win it, you know what I mean? And then if it wasn't for a lot of women, like, I don't know.
I feel like there's hidden history in that too. I feel like a lot of women helped out.
I'm sure a lot of that shit was
like George Washington's wife probably, kept him going too.
Well, the way they showed it on history, on Turn, Washington Spies, they showed how she was like, because he was kind of going crazy. I mean, that shit can drive you fucking crazy.
I bet you she was the one woman that can just collect all them fucking thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, niggas, alright, fuck it, quit bitching.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And not even, like, without making them feel inferior.
Yeah.
Like, without making them look dumb or feel dumb.
She knows how to do it. And that's why...
Women, the relationships back then, bro, they were different.
I bet you if we read her autobiography, I bet you she knew how to keep him in line. Not in line like it's in check, but really in check.
All I gotta do is tickle his balls and suck his the perfect way.
But I bet you she kept that stature of like any woman that wanted to be with George would be like, nah, he ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like Queen Bee status, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, that's Beyonce and Hove right there. And you see that Kim Kardashian, she's starting to be like she's like fighting for prisoner rights and shit. Like, I guess it's pretty cool. I don't know, she's trying, I guess. Did you remember like a few months ago when she met with Trump and they were talking about like I don't know, bro. This world that we live in is like a
fucking drama
Twilight
show.
Zone.
Yeah.
It's the Twilight Zone, bro.
Are you waiting to wake up? Because I am too.
It's whew.
I'm waiting to wake up from that gelato yesterday.
The gelato, bro. I was
fucking gone.
Yeah, me too, bro. Lifted and gifted.
But that's who probably had my vote. If she gets the Democratic ticket, she'd take my vote easy. I believe
What's her name again? Tulsi Gabbard. Gabbard. Dang, she was Army National Guard major.
Yep.
Combat band. And she's for those shallow people who won't vote for an ugly president, she's not ugly.
She's actually pretty.
She's pretty.
Yeah.
And she's not completely white. She's Samoan American.
So I know those women can
fight.
Man, they be fire women. That's like if an ignorant man goes and pisses her off. That's when like me and you would leave the room.
Yeah, like hey, we should dip out. She's about to fuck this dude up.
Yeah, I'm like,
man, when I went to Hawaii,
get scary in this bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Samoans, they look like the Samoan like gangster people look like Mexican gangster people. Like we look the lands must have been close to each other because the way Samoans and the like Asians and Mexicans, we all.
I think that's where a lot of them came from. You know what I'm saying? Like, they fled to.
From where?
Well, from when their lands are, from when the Aryans came in and kind of took over.
Right.
I think it's where they fled to the islands.
Yeah. Places. So that's why they all look similar. That's why you got Hispanic people. You call them Chino and shit because he looks Asian. It's pretty interesting. Pretty weird, bro.
It's pretty weird.
So you got anything here? You want to wrap it up?
Nah, man. I think we should wrap it up on that note. I think next time we'll get into more history. I left it on a good note on the European century or on the 18th century. Since I gave you what America's doing, during this time. Well, at least partial of it. I'll give you, I guess, what Europe was doing at this time.
Have you done any research on African history?
Nah, I haven't, man. It's hard to find any.
And yeah, there's not a lot of written.
Not a lot of them that I trust. I want to read one.
I want to go through
it's all
my
propaganda.
textbook
You know what I'm saying?
again. I mean, yeah, it's like mainstream. It's like the basics. You know what I mean? But Africa's so gigantic.
I wonder.
There's so much history there.
Well,
and mystery.
The thing is that it's like the Celt history. It was never written. The only thing we have on the Celts is what other people have written about them and what they've left behind. So
most of it was spoken for years and years.
So with the African tribes, I was doing the same thing. The same thing with the Mayans and the Aztecs. A lot of their history is hieroglyphic. So it's kind of hard to reread what they wrote if they didn't leave a good instruction manual for us to fucking know what they said.
It's crazy how they
You know what I'm
how archaeologists and shit they decode some certain like Sumerians. I think they decoded Sumerian language or
Man, I don't know. That's weird.
right. Like how do they?
How
Like,
can you decode it? You know,
it's just like little lines and shit, and little tablets.
it's hard to read those older texts because we don't have
Really, you're only guessing in a way. It's like you can
Yeah.
only guess.
pretty much. Because I don't believe in the whole ball court thing. I think that's just a whole bunch of bullshit.
What's that? Ball court.
Man, the fucking they make this the little hoops that you see in the ball court games that they have in all around Mesoamerica.
Like how they said that like the Mayans and their Aztecs invented soccer.
Yeah, I don't believe that shit. I believe they made soccer. I believe that those were something else. I do not believe one bit shaped with or formed these certain courts were ball courts that they play at these games. It just seems a bunch of horse shit. Seems to make it seem like we're a bunch of dumbasses. Dude, it's
Like
a
wasting time.
3-pound leather ball that they're sitting here saying that they didn't hit with their hands or with their feet. They used their shins, their hips, and their forearms to fucking hit this thing. Yeah,
That's
it's fucking
retarded.
stupid. Yeah.
Very retired. That's the.
This is a 3-pound fucking leather ball you're
They
hitting with your
completely get
hip.
injured every fucking time they play.
Exactly. So you telling me that these guys just got freakish hips?
Bro,
Because
that's the
my
shit
hips are
that,
breaking down right now. I'm only 24.
that these fucking haters, bro, that they write history and then they like get jealous.
I mean, if I had to really believe it, they probably did play with that ball. There probably was a soccer ball.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But
I believe they had strong ass shins. I don't
Yeah.
deny that. But for
Right.
hips, get the fuck out of here.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just stupid. Do I believe they kicked that ball over? Yeah, I would 100% believe they kicked it with their feet.
How much does a regular soccer ball weigh? Like not even a pound.
Not even a pound.
Like, super light.
So this thing was like almost like it hits you. It fucking hurts. Like hitting you with a weight.
3 pounds.
3-pound weight. Like a medicine ball. Think that.
Oh, you'll get bruised for sure.
Fuck that. I don't believe that.
That's strange.
Because we don't even throw that at each other.
Right.
Not even in football and soccer.
That's gonna be a fight on site. They're like the game's gonna end before it even starts. Like, hey, you fucking.
I mean, they say a lot of them was a battle to the death. I'm like, nah, this is stupid. I don't believe it. I think it's just like a hangout spot for everybody.
They're just trying to make us look savage.
They
Our
did.
ancestors.
I don't
Make
believe
theirs look better.
because the way that they warred back in the day wasn't like that. You know, it was really a competition. One takes one hill, one takes one temple, and that was how they warred. They didn't try to kill you. They didn't try to kill everybody
Really.
and ransack your whole village. They let you be. I mean, you were conquered, but after a certain amount of years, you could rebuild your own monument.
Right.
Shit like that.
They wouldn't end your fucking people.
No, they wouldn't do that. It's fucked up. They knew that.
But that's what Europeans did when they come over here to the New World.
And you know what's crazy? They got their asses beat too.
Ooh.
As long as they could. Those Aztecs and those and the Spanish conquistadors with Cortez.
Who got their ass beat? The Spanish?
Spanish did for a minute.
Yeah, it was just the germs, bro. It was the fucking diseases, I think.
Yeah, it was the diseases. If it wasn't for the smallpox that came in and decimated those people, I don't think that the conquistadors had the manpower and the logistics to outlast the Aztecs.
No, they didn't. They didn't, especially not in their own territory. But that germ, and then I think they used to be dirtier. I don't think Europeans bathe the same way that like Africans bathe. or like Latin or Americans.
They described Tenochtitlan as like one of the most perfect cities you could have lived in. They said it outnumbered London. So it was like 500,000 people. London was like 250,000 at the time.
And then Vino, last time he was talking about, or not last time, but
one of the previous episodes.
When Venus, right? Like some of those pyramids were melted. Was it their pyramids?
Could have been.
Right? So, man.
Oh, no, it wasn't. It was the Olmecs. It was the Olmecs and the Mayans.
That's farther south.
Yeah.
South America.
It's more in the Yucatan Peninsula and whatnot. Going more down south.
The Olmecs. Hey, I got to start saying Inuit. I got to erase Eskimo from my vocabulary because apparently that's racist.
What the fuck?
I don't know why.
I don't even know what that means.
But they're Inuits. Eskimos are Inuits.
Can I still call people mooks? Thought they're being racist.
What's that? Oh, that's the Italians? As long as they got... No? Who's a mook?
I don't know what a mook. It's just an insult I like to use. I got it from that movie, Silent Bob and...
Yeah, have you seen the new one? Jay and
Silent Bob Strike Back. That's what it was.
The newest one?
Nah.
Oh.
It was an older
no, that's
one.
the original.
Or was it Clerks 2? It was one of the Clerks movies.
One of Kevin Smith.
Yeah, the one that Kevin Smith and what's his name, like, were wandering around America trying to find somebody. Some shit.
But yeah, I want to see. They got a new one.
Oh, no, it was Clerks 2. It was Clerks 2.
The reboot. It's not a reboot.
It was what Randall would call people.
Call them okay. I think he's going to make a third one.
Ooh, they should.
Clerks.
I'll probably watch it.
Yeah. He seems like he stayed kind of down to earth.
I told you I like the new Detective Pikachu they made too.
I need to rewatch it.
Man, that was good. It's so touching. It honestly, they did a good job on the CGI for the Pokemon. I'm like, all right, bro, I would believe that this is how
They
Pokemon
went pretty hard.
It was pretty dope.
They went pretty hard. I can't wait for another one.
I liked how the Bulbasaur looked in that movie.
Man, that's when I had to take a piss and I went to the restroom, so I didn't see like the Mewtwo like in the forest. So I gotta rewatch this motherfucker, bro.
Bro, they look so adorable.
Yeah,
like so cute.
There's like a big fan base for Bulbasaur. He's pretty dope. Like there was like a horoscope, and mine is Bulbasaur Aquarius. That was pretty cool. I was like, oh. He wasn't ever my favorite, but I got a lot more respect for him now.
Yeah, I know how to use them.
Yeah. I think it's harder to win like the original game starting off with a leaf type.
No, you can actually do it. Actually helps you for the first 3 gym battles in the first game because you got rock, water, and electricity, which all are
weak to grass.
But it's when you get to Celadon City where it's kind of like you can't really do shit with them. And then you go to the next one, which is psychics.
Which one did you play?
I played the first generation.
Red.
I played a lot of them. Played red, blue, yellow.
Because the only one I played was yellow, like straight through.
I love yellow.
And I made the biggest mistake a gamer could make, and I wasted my Master Ball on the Zapdos.
I did the same shit.
Really?
I did the same shit, bro.
Thank you.
It was the last one I had.
It's because, bro, because like Zapdos was like a less than I don't know how much, and I was like, bro, and I kept using all these Ultra Balls, and fuck it.
This is back when I had the Game Boy too, bro.
Yeah, I had a Game Boy.
Oh, be mad to the hoe, bro.
I was like, fuck it. And I never.
My mom was looking at me
I'm
like,
30
what the
years
fuck is
old
wrong
now,
with you?
shit, and I'm still.
I would get so mad, bro. My mom would look at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dog? Like, yeah.
It's a good ass game, man. I like that it still continued to this day.
I still fuck with the first one. I wouldn't care. That's actually what the Let's Go Eevee one was about.
It's kind of a remake, right? But then you get like you can walk around with it. I kind of. Do you
what
have that
sucks?
one?
I hate it.
You don't like it?
I don't because I can't evolve my Eevee. It's fucking stupid. I hate it.
What do you mean you can't evolve your Eevee?
I can't evolve my fucking Eevee. You won't let me.
There's nothing you can do to evolve your Eevee?
I guess not.
That's some bullshit, bro.
Yeah.
That's some.
I would love to have me like a Flareon, goddamn Vaporeon.
What's the Umbreon?
Oh man, that'd be dope.
All of them, man. Leafeon, Espeon, Vaporeon.
You're gonna be dick.
Holy shit! They could have even made like a new one for it.
I mean, you can learn any attack, but it's like, man, it's a fucking Eevee. I want me a fucking Flareon.
Alright, so do you think if you get the Let's Go Pikachu,
they probably won't.
You can't evolve it?
No. But you know what? Pikachu's badass, though.
Pikachu.
You can't fuck with Pikachu like that, but Eevee, I can't fuck with.
The Alolan Raichu looks dope as fuck, though. Have you seen him?
The which one?
The Alolan Raichu.
Nah, I haven't seen it.
From I forgot what game it's. Not Sword and Shield.
Probably
It's
the
the
new
one
one.
before that. It was-
Probably the newer ones, the newer
Yeah.
generations.
yeah.
I only go to maybe Generation 6, if that.
When I was young, I stopped after 1. And I moved on to pussy. And I kind of wish I went back, bro, and kept collecting cards, because some of the cards from Gen 2 are so fucking dope, like the holographic ones.
Yeah.
I wish I could have went back.
All right. We'll call this a wrap.
So, peace, love, and happiness to all. Yeah, have a great week.
All right, man. Happy MLK Day for everybody tomorrow.
Thank God for MLK Jr.
Peace.
Peace.